Welcome to EVM Max Implementers call number 5. Just to start off, could we get some updates from the client devs and probably Radek? Maybe Radek, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So I made not sure if I've been talking about it last time, but probably not. So I made a benchmarks for more different also benchmark for Falcon Poseidon for Falcon signature primitive, and I'm sharing this now in the chat. Uh, yeah, so basically it looks very good comparing to what they have implemented in Solidity in legacy EVM. But you can look at numbers and also comment on this. Um, basically I used also for this primitive and for implementation, because basically this primitive works on a small field, so it's like two bytes of for each value, and I was able to, thanks to this, I was able to use some library which utilize already the SIMD instructions, so I didn't have to basically change so much, just use the library to compute the vector values, and implement basically EVMMAX opcodes in EVM1. And it looks very promising at the moment. Yeah, so that's one thing. Another thing is that I also changed a little bit the spec, maybe not the spec in the EIP, but I decided that for some smaller field, the Montgomery representation will not be used, just the regular representation. So it also speed up a lot the algorithm basically, and yeah. But I will also push the PR, and for the next thing I would like to do is just to push the PR to the EIP, changing the spec regarding the gas model for smaller fields and smaller values, and add assumptions about the Montgomery representation. So the threshold when the Montgomery representation is used, and also add this still additional instruction for inversion in both cases. So yeah, so I will push the PR or PRs with all these changes to the IP as the next thing I would like to do regarding EVMMAX.
Okay, I guess two questions. For the inversion, has it been implemented in EVM1 and it's just the
Yeah,
EIP?
yeah, I implemented this, but only because that was one case I needed to now. So I implemented this for power of two modulus, which is
Right.
quite easy and fast. But of course I will also implement this for odd modulus.
Okay, that
And
makes sense.
yeah, because at this for power of two, I needed this to implement this modexp precompile.
Mhm. Mhm. And the second question is related to the link that you sent for the PR. So we have Falcon, which is a signature scheme,
Yeah.
and the most expensive sort of function in Falcon is this thing called an FFT. And the benchmarks that you've shown are for the FFT function, FFT.
Yeah, this entity FV, whatever
Mhm.
it is there.
And what was the speed up that you got versus Solidity for this FFT or NTT?
So as far as I remember from the chat, I think the basic cost of this function in gas was about 1 million,
Mhm.
something like that. So that's the level of complexity, and here we are It's possible to calculate in like 5,000 gas.
Okay, nice.
So it's like 20 times, yeah, 20 times. Yeah, or I don't know. Yeah, it was 1 million to 5,000 basically.
Yeah, so it's like a 200x.
100x, sorry, 200x of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds great. Cool. Yeah, I guess when the PR is made, then either me or maybe someone else on the call can just review it quickly to put in. Mark.
Yeah.
Just a quick question about this. So what is the gas reduction for just the Poseidon hash? Because just looking at the PR, like I see number one, like a number four. I think these are with and without EVMMAX and doesn't seem like as a big gas cost reduction, but maybe I'm misreading it.
No. They are all different versions of EVMMAX.
Oh, okay. I see. So
So
sorry,
yeah,
what is it without?
this first one for Poseidon, as far as I remember, is the legacy EVM with introduced EVMMAX opcodes, but we already know that it's kind of unsafe, and probably this solution for EVMMAX will not be accepted for by ACD. But I just implemented this to make the comparison. And the second one, and this is so the third one and the first one is the legacy, and the second and the fourth is the EOF version, and with vectorized on or non-vectorized version of EVMMAX. So yeah, but that's a good question that we should also compare this to the Solidity implementation. I think the comparison is the Samwa, but it was some time ago and I forgot this. But it was also more than, oh yeah, this is here. So I will send you a link also. What was the cost for Poseidon in Solidity? In Solidity was about more than 100,000 gas. Or IDEN-free version was like 32,000. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that makes sense. It's a much bigger reduction.
Yeah. So actually, this Falcon signature primitive is the case with the Falcon signature primitive looks much better, but also for Poseidon, it looks really good. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Radek.
Yeah.
Does anyone else want to give any updates or yeah?
Yeah, I can give a quick update with Ethereum JS's implementation so far. So the opcodes are implemented. I've ported over pretty much all the tests that I could find from the EVM1 branches for EVMMAX. So those are more or less complete, just kind of some final debugging should be done by the end of the week, and should be able to commit to some new follow-up action items for the next time we meet. So
yeah, sounds great. And are you having any issues?
no issues. Yeah, no issues. I'll just update in the EVMMAX channel if I have any questions, because I do. For example, I don't think the gas like the gas functions are I wasn't able to find any tests that were really testing the gas functions, or like how much gas would be spent, depending on what opcodes are being executed. I don't know if I just missed those or if those are not out yet, but yeah, just finding out if work's already been done that I can port over, or if I should find ways to test those and to validate those. So
Yeah, I think the gas numbers are currently a bit still tentative. I mean, we have numbers there, but I think they're subject to changing.
Yeah, makes sense.
Any other updates from people? If no updates, any questions that people have? Maybe still regarding the Amsterdam sort of goal, any sub goals that people think that we should still have? Yeah, just anything. If not, any new items that we may be missing? In that case, then I think the sub goal that, or at least the sub goal that we should be aiming for is to have something to give to the L2s to get meaningful feedback. I think Dano, it might have been, I don't know if he was recording then, but before the call started, you had some thoughts about EVMMAX going into Amsterdam.
Yeah, some of the other teams have been tasked by SMA to determine recommendations for what should go into Amsterdam and Bogota. A lot of their plans are focusing around immediate L1 scaling needs, whatever's needed to increase the gas limit, and whatever's needed to increase the blob count are what's going in, and they really want to try and keep Amsterdam as small as possible. There's an EVM resource pricing working group. They want to get some of those features in on the premise it's going to scale L1. Right now, those plans don't approve EVMMAX because I don't think they've received any information on how that's going to help scale L1. They haven't received any feedback from any L2 saying we need this for our hash function. People have stopped pushing for things like Poseidon precompile. Falcon is over the horizon because post-quantum really doesn't help the L1 scale. So since Poseidon and Falcon are the two biggest use cases for EVMMAX, that is by default pulling it out of Amsterdam because it's not essential, and they're trying to keep it as small as possible. So that being said, for EVMMAX to get into a fork in the near future, it's going to take it's going to take a specific use case saying we need this to ship our feature. We can't do it without it. The efficient Poseidon hashing might be one of them. So that's what it would be needed. My take, don't take my word for it. Whoever's going to champion us and get us into it should make their own call, their own decision, and read what's going on with it. But my take is it's going to need someone saying this is essential for us bringing our L2 or some other application to L1 because the existing math operations just are not sufficient for L1. And without it, we're going to have to do something like go to stylus. That's what would be needed, I think, to change minds to get it into Amsterdam. But another place this could be positioned is that before we do any precompiles, we do EVMMAX, any new crypto precompiles. And I think that's also another place where there's going to be a lot of support because every time there's a crypto precompile, there's always a rash of issues with the choice of library. And lots of arguing over, well, we need it to mean this and that, like went on with a lot of the BLS precompiles. Do we do the curve check or do we not do the curve check? Do we do the curve check in this? And arguing about the particulars of how it's being used. With EVMMAX, the answer there is just to say, hey, go write your own contract. The only thing that the core has to worry about is basic math, not cryptography. It doesn't matter we're not cryptographers because we're not doing cryptography. That's the space I think where EVMMAX would shine. If EVMMAX was there to say, hey, it's finished, it's ready, it's spec'd out, we should do EVMMAX with this code representing Poseidon instead of bringing in a Poseidon precompile. That I think is where EVMMAX is gonna get the support of going into a fork. But that's kind of reading the room on the social media and the planning circles and a lot of the talk going on. Scaling L1 is the North Star beyond blobs, and it would need to fit in the story would need to fit that story if it's going to go in. So that's what I would think. some of the situation with getting things into mainnet right now is. But that being said, if we just put it to the side and ignore it and come back when someone wants to decide, and we're not going to be able to spin up unless we finish the research, finish a spec, and get sample contracts written down and say this is what Poseidon looks like. That's where things would need to be, or we need to continue working on it the whole time until it's out there. Those are, I think, where EVMMAX would need to go to make sure that it is useful when it comes time for something like EVMMAX to be put forward.
Right. And I guess I have some follow-up questions. The first one is on the precompiles. That argument seems like it's only convincing if we have a bunch of precompiles to implement. Like if
Yep,
it's just
and
one
there's
more.
none on Amsterdam right now.
Right. Right. And I guess my second question is how convinced are people that sort of EVMMAX is what's needed for the, let's say, like L2s? Like, are people convinced without even before going to the L2s, or are people in the mind frame that we want to implement this thing and we want to go to the L2s and check if it's actually usable? Like, where do people fall on this spectrum? Is the question well defined?
I'm not sure if it's well defined actually.
I'm trying to figure out what are people's current thoughts on EVMMAX. Is it that we're implementing it and we're trying to investigate whether it's useful for L2s, or is it that we're implementing it and we know that it's useful for these particular use cases already?
I would say that it's half-half now. So we know that it's useful for a couple of use cases we did, but also we need some valuable feedback from L2s. We don't have yet, I believe, or we don't have enough feedback.
Right. And I guess what if the L2s say we don't need this? What would be the next steps for this?
It's probably not needed. Yeah, no, so we already know that at least from some people, like for
Mhm.
the ZK Knox project, they already find it useful, and they will be supporting this.
Mhm.
But I think we need more valuable players on board
Mhm.
of supporting this project.
Right. That makes sense. Makes sense. And I guess to Dano's point on the precompiles, this doesn't scale L1 directly. It just basically scales the shipping velocity of L1, which is a bit different, but I also think it's valuable versus like Poseidon, which does scale the, well, that we think scales the L1 directly.
And that's the thing, is it's a lot of semantics, and it's part of the ACD process. I mean, a lot of these discussions really haven't gone to ACD yet, and that's, will ACD accept the premise or not is the big question about, what scales L1 and what does not. But as I said in chat, if we had something like ZK Knox saying we need EVMMAX to do what we are doing efficiently, that's the sort of compelling argument that would be needed to get it in within the next two hard forks.
I don't think, I mean, I think we need parties, but I don't think ZK Knox is sort of a maybe well-established party enough to say that we need it. I think we actually need like the L2s and the ZK rollups to say, like, this helps us, this decreases the costs for our contracts by like 5x. The ramifications of this is X, and this allows us to scale by Y.
That would be very
yeah.
compelling. That's what it would be needed, I think, to get into Amsterdam.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I think we're still in the process of getting that once we've sort of fixed the spec. We have the Poseidon benchmarks down and we implement one of their contracts, maybe the Starkware contract, the verifier using this, I think we'll have like either a convincing argument or that it's good or a convincing argument that it's bad, at least one data point. So yeah. Any other questions or feedback or yeah. Yeah, I know I'm sort of asking very uncomfortable questions. No.
Not for me. I'm good.
Cool. Okay, cool. Oh, Mark.
Just one more question. I mean, have we kind of thought about other people outside L2s that might want to use this? I mean, something like post-quantum signature seems like it would be useful for a lot of things, even if maybe people aren't super worried about it today.
Yeah, I think basically every project which needs it should but I'm not fully aware whether it can be useful. But if someone knows better, we definitely should try to reach out to everybody who believes that it's something beneficial for their project, and they can put even a short statement that I don't know, that EVMMAX, like in this EIP, designed like in this EIP or similar, it will be very useful, and it will and we will definitely be using this, and we need it. We would like to have it as soon as possible. But yeah, so one set of potential clients are, in my opinion, are L2s, or rollups, but basically any other project would be also very useful to support this project, this EIP, to be included as soon as possible. And so I wouldn't I would like just to reach as many projects as possible, basically.
Right. I think depending on who you're targeting, when it's gonna get shipped changes. If you're just targeting post-quantum, then I think Amsterdam is just completely out of the question. But if we're then targeting L2s and L1, or have some story of how this scales L1 with convincing arguments, then I think Amsterdam's possible.
I think that this EIP is definitely part of the scaling of the L1 scaling roadmap. And very important part, in my opinion.
Okay, cool. Any other questions? Okay, cool. And just to round it up on sort of the to-dos, so Radek, you're gonna create a PR to the EIP in order to add the inversion, and also remove the we'll add a special case for not doing Montgomery modulus on when the bit size is like small enough. I believe those are the only to-dos left, and then yeah.
And one thing is that we need to, but probably it's something for us, for Epsilon team to find out how we want to declare EVMMAX context. The EVMMAX context is in on the top of the EOF container, just to make possible to validate EVMMAX immediate arguments values on deploy time. But yeah, so that's one thing. But that's the issue. We still are not sure how to do it, but we have to find out something, and that's probably should happen before the next EVMMAX call, I believe. But yeah, depends a lot on how another EOF discussion will go soon.
Okay, let me write that down as well. And once we have these things done, are we then in a position to bring this to L2s? What's like,
Yeah.
what do we need to do next?
Yeah, I think that the next step should be just to take the CIP and try to present it to the L2s and or other projects, as we said, and try to get their feedback on it.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, so by next week, then we should have numbers for Poseidon gets decreased by this much, and we're confident, and the EIP is fairly closed, or at least it's not going to change too much. If that's the case, then I think I'll add in a clause to review the gas numbers for the operations, just to be like sure. And yeah, okay, this sounds good. And I think, yeah, next time we can then start talking about which L2s we present this to, who we present it to, who's already using Poseidon, and then get the feedback from there. Cool. Yeah, if there's nothing else, then yeah, I'll see you guys in the next call.